guy who was up here who said the lights were bright wasn't kidding. They really are. Well, this is my favorite position in any agenda, which is I am the only thing that separates you from food and a break. So I promise to be super direct and super quick, but I'm just really pleased to be here today. What I'm going to do is just share with you a little bit about our company, because I think it's really relevant to why we're talking about Iluminage and Goop. Iluminage Beauty is a company that's actually owned by Unilever. And it was formed about 2 years ago, and it was the result of it's a joint venture between what essentially was 3 different brands. We had the Tanda brand, the Iluminage brand, and we also had a brand called Me. And part of the challenge, I started with the brand in January. And part of the challenge was, what do we do with these 3 brands? Do we develop them? Do we eliminate them? And which one is going to be our focus for growth? Ultimately, what we did is assess the opportunity. You do get out of breath up here. Iluminage is our premium brand. And that's the brand that we have currently at Nordstrom and Neiman's. And that is our flagship premium brand. And we agreed that we would keep that, and that would be our focus. Tanda, sadly, we decided to get rid of. And although I did love it, there just wasn't room for it in the portfolio. And then the Me brand is our masstige brand. Now, if anyone has worked for a startup, and I know there are a couple in the room, that's how we function. Even though we're Unilever owned, we really have no money. So we have to be really, really scrappy. They're really generous with introductions. They've generously introduced us to lots of different brand partners. But at the end of the day, we're run like a private equity-owned company that's focused on growth. With that said, we have, as I mentioned, limited dollars, and we have to think about them very, very strategically. And when I say limited dollars, the partnership that we're talking about today was $50,000. That's it. And it was really super important to us as a brand and as a company as we start laying the groundwork for driving awareness. The Iluminage brand was introduced into the US market about 1.5 years ago. And when you think about awareness building activities, there is no awareness. We have distribution at Neiman's, and we're a very, very good brand for them. We have distribution at Nordstrom's, excellent brand for them. But to the average consumer, they don't know we exist. So the relationship with Goop was super important to us, because when we thought about who we are as a brand, we really wanted to align with another brand that had the same demographic. So number one, if you look at the way the brands are positioned, Iluminage is premium, aspirational, and prestige. Goop is the same. And for those in the room who don't know what Goop is, did anyone read page 6 yesterday? We have no page 6 readers here. $170,000 was stolen from the Goop's pop-up shop in New York City. It's Gwyneth Paltrow's lifestyle brand. And it's an amazing brand. She has incredibly engaged consumer base. It's extremely aspirational, and it's very premium. And it's perfectly aligned with our Iluminage brand. And actually, as you go down and you look at what's the age, 35 to 55 is our consumer. The Goop consumer, which is very aspirational, is 34. When you think about household income, we're looking for that woman who's 75,000 household income and above. Goop is 100. Marital status, 75 married, 25 single. Goop is similar. Target gender, female, and then even if you look at geography, we're very much aligned on geography. They are aesthetically not so different. And when the team brought the opportunity to me, I was like, okay, well, Gwyneth Paltrow is polarizing, but if you look at the data for the people who follow her and engage with her, her open rates on newsletters are over 25%. We do a lot of work. I've been in beauty my entire career, so I've worked at L'Oreal and Avon and Neutrogena. Normally when you have partners, you're looking for open rates of about 10%. So that told me that this was a really engaged consumer base that we could talk to in a way that might engage her. And the reason why having someone who is appropriately targeted is important to us is because we have products that range from $200 to $600, and it's completely beauty oriented. So the Iluminage Beauty portfolio is all about beauty devices. So this is hair removal, it's anti-aging. We have textiles that promise that when you wake up, your skin will look younger and fresher, and they actually work. They're amazing, but they're all very, very expensive. And so we want a woman who's engaged and has disposable income. So we worked with the team at Goop, and we said, here are the things we want to do. We want to put out the brand overarching message. We want to spend $50,000, which again, to most of you out there, sounds extraordinarily tiny, but was meaningful to us. And we want to do a test with you. We want to see, does this, it sounds like a really good partnership, but let's test and learn, because we are a young brand. And the one thing I didn't mention at the very beginning, the entire marketing and digital team at Iluminage is new. So I started in January, and I hired the entire team. So I have, let's see, I have two in the room, Christina and Peter's only been on board for 2 months. So a very young team and an opportunity for everybody to test and learn. So if you look at it, we ran advertising, we engaged in social, we also sponsored their editorial content, and we worked with them to make sure that the content of the editorial was contextually relevant to us as a brand. So one of them was about permanent haircuts, because our #1 device is hair removal, and we thought that was a great relationship between what we do as a business and the story that they're telling within their editorial content. And we actually, someone was talking about creative earlier. We work with a couple of agencies on creative. In this instance, we actually worked with the creative department at Goop to create the ads. We used our assets, but said we want this to feel extremely integrated and brand right for you and for us. So all of the creative that was done was through a partnership between the two brands. We also had added value in the pop-up. We're doing really well at the pop-up, even though there was the little hiccup with the jewelry heist. And it's beautiful. It's an unbelievably beautiful place for us to warehouse our brand and elevate our overall brand awareness. And we had great success. Again, $50,000, well spent. The life-changing haircuts was the #1 clicked on story that they've ever had. The engagement was incredibly high. The open rate was over 25%, and it was really remarkable. We had incredibly high landing page engagement, great click-through rate, overall engagement, and then if you look at overall click-through of 0.5%, that's excellent for us as a company, and that's also excellent for the beauty category. So looking forward, as I mentioned, the team is young, the company is young. We have very, very, very high aspirations as a business, and part of that is driving overall awareness in the marketplace with people and customers who are relevant to us and who would be right to bring into our community. And what that means is we really want to engage with strategically aligned partners. And that meant to us that Goop was a great partner, and we've extended that relationship into 2016. We looked at other partners. For example, Allure is an amazing partner for anybody who's in the beauty business. And we sat down with them and shared them some of our successes in this partnership and asked for the moon. And they've been a great partner to us. So we'll be launching a similar partnership in first quarter of 2016. And the other thing that we learned is because we're in a brand positioning moment, we're really talking about the portfolio of products within our business and who we are as a company. And then after that, we're going to drill down and really talk about product messaging. And for anybody, I don't know if there's anyone else, is anybody else in the room in beauty? Yay, okay, a couple, perfect. It reminds me of when Revlon was doing a repositioning about 8 years ago. They invested really heavily in what was called the Bellissimo campaign. The Bellissimo campaign was all about talking about the brand itself before going into product messaging. And it was remarkably successful for them. They didn't sell a ton of product when they were doing their brand repositioning work, but then subsequently managed to sell a lot of product when they shifted that work after realigning the brand positioning with their consumer and then focusing on product. So we're going to start broad with who Iluminage is as a brand, and then drill down into the more targeted product messages. And then we want to be consistent. We don't have a lot of money. We have $1 million for Iluminage next year, which the team was jumping up and down for joy. And we have $1 million on the Me brand, which is the bread and butter brand and the one that pays everybody's salaries. And we again have to be super choiceful. And we'll continue to be choiceful and build relationships. Because the other thing I've learned is when you have really strong relationships, you get more for your money. So we'll be continuing to do that. Super. Well, thank you. That was hopefully not too long, and you guys can go to lunch shortly. I'll ask Shireen to come back on, and we'll see if there's any questions.
Sure. Yeah. Are there any questions from the audience? Yes. No. I think everyone's hungry. Well, I have questions. I'm not going to let you get to lunch. Tell me a little bit about sort of your social media presence and which ones have you really put your biggest bets on?
Sure. Again, to reset everybody's expectations on sort of where the brand is today versus where we're going to be, we have very, very high expectations for where we'll be in a year. When I started in January, there was no marketing team in place, and there was no social media. So we didn't have anything. The brand had produced product and shipped it to retail. So we were in Neiman's, we were in Nordstrom, but there had been no communication to the consumer base. So Christina, who's here in the room, manages that. We have an outside agency that we work with. And we've been really focusing on Instagram and Facebook. In terms of other places we've invested dollars, we are doing Facebook ads. They've been great for us. And we've seen an amazing return in the number of people who have come on as fans on Facebook.
Are these video ads or
no?
Not videos? Okay.
No, they're really simple. And I had my own consulting business for about 4 years and only worked with startups. And I found that they could be very efficient and very effective. And then we curate all of our content very, very carefully. Again, it goes back to who we are as a brand, and then we test and learn. Christina, I'll sit down on a Friday and I'll say, okay, did we learn anything this week? Has anything changed? And a couple of things we learned is the consumer on Facebook really likes the woman in sort of the posts where we talk about women who are really successful in business. And the folks on Instagram don't care.
Oh, yeah.
They're very different, and their engagement is different.
Okay.
So the content that we've curated on Instagram is different than Facebook.
Got it. Awesome. Well, Andrea, thank you so much. This
Thank
is
you
great.
so much.
Thank you. All right. So